Hey everybody, this is Denton Gillen coming at you with more Whole Backstage Live. Now this episode was not a scheduled interview. Today is a bonus conversation that took place after the June 30th Brass Band of Huntsville concert at the Whole Backstage Theater as an impromptu sit-down with my good friend and WBS board member, John Everett Brewer. We have shared the stage multiple times, and you'll hear us talk about memories from those performances as well as our thoughts on the Whole Backstage and some of the exciting things we have planned for the next few seasons. Most recently, we were both in the Whole Backstage production Little Shop of Horrors, and John Everett actually helped build and operate the full-grown version of the plant Audrey 2. If you're familiar with the show or saw our version, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We had Cole Nichols and Tim Nichols who worked on the frame and the operational skeleton for this plant and the final color and design of its head and face. And John Everett and Johnny Brewer then designed a pulley system that would give it facial expressions and move its lips that helped shape its words as it spoke. And it was really fascinating watching John Everett work that whole contraption backstage. Now, this large plant was over 6 feet tall and probably about 8 feet long with a large mouth that actually allowed the plant to, quote, eat some of our cast members, including myself, on stage. So we were especially grateful for his help in creating that full-grown version of Audrey 2, but also his willingness to step in and be the puppeteer for that character in our show. That was a really, really amazing performance that we don't talk about in this episode, but I wanted you to know. So, as I said, this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing, so you will hear the air conditioning unit running in the background. There are people walking through the space we're recording in at some point. So that is why those sounds are there. And this is my conversation with John Everett Brewer. Hope you enjoy.
But it adds another media. It adds another
way
to get entertained.
Yeah, I threw the Guys and Dolls promo up there so people can see that. So
this is such a good thing. I'm very impressed.
Well, I'm happy to be doing it, man. I mean, the interviews that we've gotten so far are incredible. Like John Harvey producing that Big Band of Brothers album. I mean, I told him, he said I needed to get out more. But during the interview with him, I told him that I said, this is the coolest thing anybody I know has ever done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, like...
He's got a physical copy right here.
Yeah. And that's... I'm telling you, the perks of hosting the show have already kicked in because I got the vinyl of Big Band of Brothers.
He gave that to you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was really thoughtful of him to bring that and just say, hey, do you want this? And yeah, man, we play records. We got a stampede coming through here.
Oh, y'all are fun.
So we're for if you're listening, me and John Everett are just kicking it in the studio, which is a shared space in the Black Box Theater, and apparently we didn't book the space.
Hey, it's a community theater around here. You know, you got to learn to share the space.
Yeah.
But this is legitimate. I mean, this is a cool setup, and I'm really impressed. And this is something that the Whole Backstage needs, and this community needs.
Man,
different form.
It's going to be fun. But yeah, this, and I told Johnny during his interview that I wanted to bring the things that go on in this building and share the things that we do with people in different ways, on different platforms in different formats, so that more people can experience. Like, I think one thing I said on that episode was if you are somebody who doesn't come to the theater, then maybe you play podcasts on your phone, in your car, whatever.
The thing about it, though, is with podcasts, it's mostly storytelling, right? You get induced by a story. Think about how many stories have happened in this building. I mean, before it was a theater, when it was a school, there's people here that went to school here. The stories need to be shared other than people who are in shows.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there's 100 years of history in the building itself, and 50 years of history as an entity, the Whole Backstage. So, the people that have come through here, the people that I told, I had an interview earlier today where I mentioned that there's probably a handful of people. This has been, we're coming up on celebrating our 50th anniversary as a theater, and there are a handful of people who are responsible for that, right? I mean, it's an army of people.
Oh yeah.
But there are a few who keep showing up, keep pushing things, keep having ideas, keep manifesting those ideas, and keep inviting people, and keep putting on shows worth watching. So, I mean, it's...
And I was talking about it with my parents yesterday. It's, you can come to a show and come be in a show, and that's a lot of time and effort that you're giving just to entertain people. You're not getting anything out of it. You're paying your gas you're paying to be there with your time and money. But there's also another level of people that you meet here that have dedicated a chunk of their lives.
Yes, yeah.
And it's a part of their lives. So yes, it's all one collective organization that makes it great. But there are people that you talk to that you can just tell it is actually a part of their lives.
Yeah.
They've made that decision I'm going to work here. This is my career. I'm going to take care of my family, but also I'm going to dedicate this part of my life to this theater.
And that's another thing. We were talking during Johnny's episode. I asked him how long he had been involved with the Whole Backstage, and I think he said something like 40 years.
Yeah.
I wanted to say 48 at first, but then I thought 38, so I'm going to just say 40. That's a nice safe number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Don't want to offend anybody.
40-ish.
I think it is like 38.
So, I mean, that's
more than half of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a big deal. And one of the questions I asked him when we were talking about that was like, why?
Exactly.
I mean, not why, but like how? What drives you? And it's the people. It's the connection. It's the sharing something meaningful with the people who come through the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and just think of like every group you've been a part of that you've worked really hard on something.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to fall into times of weakness and times of despair and disappointment and things. But these people that we're referring to, because I mean, there's people here today that have been here longer than Johnny. So I mean, it's a lot of people that have been here for a long time. It's easy to get down when something doesn't come together right away, or it's not what you had in mind to begin with. And a great example is Guys and Dolls, because it's fresh on my brain because we just did it.
Absolutely. By the way, phenomenal job as Nathan. Good old Nathan.
Today, literally, I caught myself saying, all right, about 10 times. All right. And I said, okay, I got to get rid of that.
I thoroughly enjoyed that show. It was fantastic.
I appreciate it. It was a good one. But the thing is, bringing it back is there were points of that show where I was thinking, this is not as good as I wanted it to be. Or when I auditioned, I envisioned the quality, and I was like, this is not living up to it. And it's easy to get down on the group, on the organization. But literally, it never fails. Opening night or the first weekend, you pull together as a group, and it's crazy to see that happen.
Yeah.
It came together beautifully.
That's funny that you mentioned that. That's one thing. That's another thing that Adam Carboni mentioned today. I don't know that I've said that I interviewed him today. That'll be coming out soon, or will have already come out, depending on when we stick this in the lineup. This is a little sit down impromptu, conversation. You hear the air conditioning in the background. You heard the Stampede come through a while ago. I mean, we're just hanging out.
Sure.
But that's one thing Adam mentioned about in the film industry. He said that when you cast somebody, like you honestly, we were really talking about the finished product of a whole project, mm-hmm. like a commercial or short film or whatever. He said that you never know what it's going to be, really.
Yeah.
He said he tries to focus on the process, because if he thinks too much about what the finished product is going to be, he misses a lot through the journey, the process.
100%.
And he mentioned, like, when you cast somebody, sometimes they're fantastic, sometimes they're professional, sometimes they're goofy, sometimes they're personable, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you're thinking, what have I done? And they turn it on like the night before the performance, and then they show up and you're like, oh, okay, that's why we cast them. I remember now. But you're worried. You never know what you're going to get sometimes.
I mean, that's how I am, so I can't say anything. I save my energy till that first week.
You show up night one?
I show up. Usually it's like the night before, and I start doing crazy stuff on stage, and it gives whoever the director is a panic attack. But I've proven that style works for me. But so it's kind of easy to trust. But that's the thing, is every show I've ever done, and I've done a lot of shows, every show I've ever done, it seems to fall into that sort of style where you have your doubts and you're kind of worried for a little bit. Maybe there's even some drama, maybe there's some arguments between the cast, but it never fails. Every time you open that curtain and there's an audience there, it's like, all right, we're doing this.
All right.
We are doing this. We are all together.
All right, here we are.
All right. They're out there. We're gonna do the show now. But every time I do a new show, I'm always thinking like, oh, this one's not gonna come together. Oh, this is gonna be the one.
After every time you see it happen time and time again, and you're still like, I don't know.
This is the one where it's not gonna come together in the end, and it always does. And that's beautiful. It's terrifying.
Really, yeah, it really.
But
is.
it's so beautiful that's the way it works.
The process of the theater, and that's one thing, when you get so many different people coming together, that some you may know, some you may not have ever met before. Like I think about, you were talking about people dedicating time. I think about BK, who he drives over an hour and has done 4 or 5 shows in a row here.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is dedicated.
Yep.
I mean, he's talented on stage and talented in the shop, and he's a value add. I mean, that's
for sure.
That's what.
But that's easy to overlook. It's easy to forget about that when he's just there every night. It's easy to forget. Maybe the first couple of nights are like, wow, you drove that, but then you just forget about it, and then when it hits
because
you,
it's just what happens.
He's just there, and you start expecting people to be there, and one night they're not, and you realize, wow, they are driving 3 hours every day of their lives back and forth. So,
I mean, I think how many weeks did y'all have rehearsal? So like 5?
More than that, probably
6.
like 8.
Okay, and
not every day.
3+ rehearsals a week, easy though.
Yeah,
like maybe 4, sometimes 5.
Yeah,
but 3+ easy for 8 weeks. So that's minimum 24 trips for, just say somebody like him, over an hour. That's 24 hours of driving just to come put on a show that he does not get compensated for.
Right.
Nobody. Our whole organization is volunteer, and we have some fantastic people who just do it. Again,
do it for the love.
That question. Why?
Why? And it's easy. That's what I'm talking about. It's easy to, in those moments where you're not feeling the best about the show or what the group that you were put with has done so far, it's easy to be like, why am I doing this? I mean, I drive 15 minutes, and I got in those moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? But it always pays off in the end to see a group of people that don't know each other. Like, everybody doesn't know each other. Some people have worked with each other before. Some people know each other. But it never fails. It always comes together. It's so beautiful to watch, but it's kind of more beautiful to watch once it's already over, because you're like, you can breathe that sigh of relief.
So this show, would you have, when I hear people talking about shows, it makes me want to see it. But if I'm in it, I'm like, I'll never see this show. Yeah. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, I was the lead in this show, so I got a lot of people saying individually, like, your performance was great, because I was on stage way too much, because that many lines.
You were on stage as much as prescribed.
Yeah, it was too much. But people are naturally going to be like, you did a great job because of how much I was out there. And I really appreciate that. Like, I really appreciate everybody's comment. But you're right. I love to hear more. Like, I really enjoyed the show. Like, we are so glad we came. Like, those are the comments that I'm looking for. But also, on the flip side of that, and I was talking about this yesterday, is I almost get more satisfaction talking to someone who has been in theater or is, like, more aware of theater, that I can go up to and be like, you know, maybe we're in the lobby and they're like, great job, the show was great. And I'm like, thank you. And then I take them to the side and I'm like, okay, now tell me what you really thought. And I love to hear it because you get criticism. You know, it's not like I want to hear everything that you didn't like about the show, but
with them, you can ask, how was the production value?
Exactly.
Almost.
Because that's all I care about.
Like, did you enjoy seeing this person? It was, how was the overall production value? How did the stage look?
Exactly.
Did the lights screw up? You know, did it sound good?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I really like those moments because it feels more real than like, oh, you did so good, which I know, like, I really appreciate those comments too, but getting to hear like someone who really is dissecting the whole show, I really love that. And
a lot of the time, those people too, you can ask, or they might just volunteer, hey, I saw this, like something you noticed as a cast member that maybe happened during the show that the audience would never see or would never notice, but like maybe a prop got left side stage and somebody was empty-handed, but they covered it, or anything like that. It's fun to get those people that say, yeah, I noticed that, you know, whoever's, like one night, one of the in Guys and Dolls, during one of the hot box scenes, one of the dancers, like their long skirt, the dancers had on two different skirts. For the first half of the song, it was a longer skirt, and then it came off, and they were dancing in a shorter skirt for the second half of the song. So one of the dancers told me that her long skirt had either it was misplaced, or it came off prematurely or whatever. And so she was like, I was just out there dancing in my short skirt like the whole time, and I was the only one. And like, so, you know, those things, somebody probably noticed that. Sure. Because she was one out of 15 girls who, like, obviously was dressed differently.
Yeah.
But
those types of things happen, and those can be beautiful in their own way too. Yeah. And especially, when things happen like that on stage, when I'm on there, I stay really calm when I'm on the stage. It's very strange. Sure. But when I notice things like that, I will do something ridiculous to take the attention away from that and just right on me. Like, hey, guys, don't look at her skirt that just fell off. Look at me. Yeah. So those are the little moments where I get a little crazy.
I experienced a couple of those, I'm sure. When we did Charley's Aunt together, we did Noises Off together more recently, but I worked more closely with you on stage, like side by side and face to face in Charley's Aunt. So yeah, I'm one that can keep my composure if I've practiced it. I'll admit I'm not great at spur of the moment. Like, I could be great at spur of the moment reactions, but I'm not good at keeping a straight face.
Are you talking about every time I cracked you up on stage?
Like every time.
Okay, well, I was doing it on purpose. I know. I got you once by accident. I did something funny. It got you once. I try to do it constantly every night. But I love that. I will tell you this, because I don't crack much on stage at all. And I still don't think that I cracked, but the last night of Guys and Dolls, we can talk about other shows, but this one's just so fresh on the brain.
Yeah, this one just ended last week.
Yeah. This was our last show on Sunday. And we did 2 weekends of the show. The first weekend, me and Cory, who played Big Julie, didn't do this. But the second weekend, we were like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you pulled me in as close as you can, and we like got really close to each other's faces while he's yelling at me. We didn't do that the first weekend. The second weekend, we were like, yeah, let's try it. Why not? So the first night he does it, we get a laugh. We're like, okay, we're keeping that. He pulls me in all the way. We're touching noses, and he's yelling in my face. He has the biggest voice. He's the biggest human ever. But Sunday, it was our last show. And I just make weird facial expressions all the time. That's just what I do. I don't know why I do that. But He pulls me in as hard as he can. He's so huge. Pulls me right into his face. Our faces are touching. I mean, we're face to face looking at each other. And he screams at me and he said, "Get the 2000 and put it down there." The dude spits directly into my mouth. Like, my mouth was open because I'm making a face like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Mouth open, spits into my mouth. And I started tasting saliva that wasn't mine. And I was like, oh no, he just spit in my mouth for sure.
That was the giveaway?
That was the giveaway. When I closed my mouth and it was salty in a way that I knew that it wasn't mine. Oh yeah, that's Cory's. Yeah, spit directly into my mouth. And I kind of cracked on that. And I usually don't ever crack. But that was kind of tough to not react.
Yeah, Cory, he will do that. That was another one that I had to work. I mean, we had to run this several times before I was able to look him in the face, and this was Charley's aunt, but him just looking at me, saying some of the lines that he said during that show, like he was an older uncle who was like getting on to us as like college age kids. Yeah. And his face, man, is so intense. His eyes get super big and he's yelling and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm looking at him like I'm supposed to be straight and have a comedic line. Yeah. So that's almost what makes it worse, is that the audience is laughing at what's going on and I'm supposed to be like super straight. Just but yes. Cory is, I don't know whether to say he's bad about or really good at breaking through our character, walls, I guess. Just
every show I've ever done with Cory, we touch faces. Why is that?
Well, okay, question. Is it always because you have an idea about blocking and say, hey, let's try this? Or is it in script? Like, they touch faces.
Yeah. I mean, Charley's aunt, I guess, that was kind of, well, I guess not. I guess we just, the closer we got, the more laugh we got, and so we just
kept going.
Ended up till we were basically
kissing. Does he ever give you like a little nose rub?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, big sweaty nose kisses. But man, that's like my favorite thing about theater is like doing stuff that was not planned or practiced. Yeah. I love it. I'm so calm under those.
Well, that's moments. That's what we do in this building, live theater. I mean, you get something different every night. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that there's such short runs. I mean, it feels like a long time when you're in the middle of it, but it's super short. Yeah. I mean, the rehearsal time is only a couple of months. And the shows, we do 7 performances over 2 weekends. And, it's interesting. I was listening to Jeff Daniels on a podcast recently talk about his run in To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how it can get like routine almost when you're doing the same thing for so long, 8 shows a week or whatever. It can get routine and monotonous. And do you get like do you feel the creativity leave at some point and you're just going through the motions? And his experience in that show, at least, was that he said like month 8 or 9 that they were doing that show, they were clicking, buddy. And he said nobody got flat. I guess they just got into a rhythm that they really enjoyed. And he said that was when to see that show after we had been doing it for 9 months.
That's wild.
So,
hey everybody, just a quick time out to remind you to check out our production of To Kill a Mockingbird, which opens September 30th, 2022. Tickets will be on sale very soon for patrons and then available to the general public after Labor Day. Now, this is a major perk of being a patron member of the Whole Backstage. You get early access to tickets and preferred seating for our regular season shows. Information about the different levels of patron packages we offer is available on the Become a Patron page of our website, which is found under the Home tab in the menu at wholebackstage.com. Make plans now to come and see To Kill a Mockingbird from the novel by Alabama native Harper Lee as we kick off our 49th consecutive season as your community theater. Tickets are available through wholebackstage.com.
I'll tell you what, man. hearing the audience laugh at you is no joke. That is some crazy adrenaline. That is addictive. Like, I'm not kidding. I am not, and you probably know this already, but like, I'm not into theater. Like, I'm not super into it. I don't listen.
Not a theater guy.
I'm not a theater guy. I've been in the theater since I was a little kid. I don't listen to soundtracks. I don't watch plays unless they're here, you know?
Yeah.
But dude, there is something addictive about getting a reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's impossible to leave that alone once you get it. So, you know, that's why I come here. But I mean, Cory, you know, you can see why he hams it up, because he gets laughs just by being a human being the size of him.
Yeah, he can make a face and the audience loses it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. His eyeballs, he can pop them out of socket basically. But somebody asked me yesterday, they were like, how does Cory make that crazy deep voice? And I was like, he just talks, because that's
his voice.
That's his voice.
And he used to work in corrections.
Yes.
Can you believe somebody, like, if I got taken to jail for whatever reason and he was standing across from me saying,
dude,
sit down. Like, okay.
Dude. No.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
But he's another one that's been, you know, key, and he drives, and, you know, he has health issues, and he's just here, man. It's so easy to take that for granted. And that's, again, I've been in shows where I've felt the same way. So it's not a new thing, but once it's so fresh on your mind, you really start to grasp a hold of like how much you can take advantage of with, you know,
sure. Yeah.
Theater is so special. Like, these groups of people are so special, but it's with any organization that you work really hard for. It's so easy to take it for granted. But here, at least, it always comes back full circle to where you can fully appreciate the people, you know, and what you've created and stuff. It never fails as much as you think it's going to.
Well, and you think too, we've got a really good facility. I mean, as I mentioned a while ago, it's 100 years old, and it's an historical landmark. But stage-wise and theater-wise, we've got a really, really good facility. And some of our technology we have is like, it's hard to find it in like a professional theater sometimes, because it's been, I guess, curated over time. Like, people have donated or found something that we could use. I mean, this theater really has been, like, I don't know, put together piece by piece, you know, over time. And I think about, you know, our local high school that's being torn down right now to build a new one. They had a really good stage and set up, and, you know, they when they were about to knock it down, they called and said, hey, we can't keep everything, you know.
Right.
If y'all can use something out of the building, let us know. And, you know, that was a really good community, I guess, effort. And it's been stuff like that over 50 years of our history that has allowed us to be where we are. So.
For sure. And like Albertville, when they built the Fine Arts Center, I was going to school there. That was over 10 years ago. But when it was built, it was like some of the best technology out there. But still, there's these little issues, like their fly system isn't as big, the wings aren't as big. So it's super easy to take this facility for granted too, because of the fly system is one of the biggest in Alabama.
I was going to mention the fly system it's I've seen some amazing things, and if you stand on stage and just look up, it's almost unreal. Everything's so intricately put together, and takes lights in and out, curtains in and out, backdrops in and out, sometimes people in and out.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the quality, this is the first thing we talked about, but the quality of shows, the quality of entertainment that we can provide is like the only thing I care about, really. And we have really been kicking it up a notch with the past few shows in terms of quality.
Sure.
I mean, it's just getting better and better. So my only hope is that, you know, we keep drawing more people, which we're doing. and we keep getting support from the community because it's hard to, I mean, everybody knows, I mean, at this point that it's hard to find funding in the arts.
It is.
It's hard.
And, part of getting through COVID was grants and sometimes loans,
Right.
which we now have.
Exactly.
So part of it is paying for the technology we use and the just the facility maintenance, the lights, the air, the stage costs, the cost of putting on a show, the props, the costumes. But yeah, without, like you mentioned, the quality of the shows, without the talent that comes through the doors, the talent available in North Alabama is insane.
Mm-hmm. No question.
Guntersville, Marshall County, and North Alabama, people who drive from like an hour or more away to come be in a show is unreal. Mm-hmm. And we always need talent. We need technical positions like lights, sound, stage crew.
Yeah.
I mean, the crew and stage like construction.
Oh yeah.
Personnel. I mean, it's like
costumes, hair.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on and on. Ushers. Yep. I mean, we need everybody, or it doesn't work. But we have to be real about it because it's a vicious cycle, right? Like you said it about the talent around here. We just watched the brass band of Huntsville perform 20 minutes ago. Yep. They ended. I could not be more proud to be an Alabamian right now.
They did a great job.
So good. And that just shows you the talent like you were talking about.
I had never heard them before.
I hadn't either.
And honestly, to be super honest, I didn't know they existed.
I didn't either.
So the fact that they brought that concert to us and we were able to put it on for free for almost a full house.
Pack the house.
Is amazing.
So the talent is there, but here's the thing. We have to keep it real because it is a vicious cycle. This is the part that nobody wants to talk about, like especially amongst ourselves, because the quality of shows has to be there to attract talent, to say, I want to be a part of this. This is so good. I want to be a part of this. The quality of the shows has to be there to attract new patrons or new audience members that are going to come back. But the quality of shows depends on how many tickets you can sell, how much funding is there, how many people are coming to see the show. So it is a vicious cycle. It is extremely tough to make that very efficient. Like it is just a vicious cycle. But that being said, the group that is here right now and the board that we have right now, I have full faith that we'll keep this momentum going because I do feel some momentum. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's been phenomenal shows in the past, but right now I feel some momentum going in the right direction, and that vicious cycle can be so scary. But I think if we can keep it going,
I think there's always ups and downs, but as long as you have people willing to participate, you can move forward, right? I mean, I was here earlier today getting ready for the concert tonight, and walking down the hall, and we have a hallway that is off the lobby that leads down to where our everybody goes through this hallway because our restroom bank is down at the end of the hallway. And that's a weird term, restroom bank.
Hey, that's fine. I liked it.
Where we keep all of our restrooms.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But in this hallway, it's filled with maybe not every show we've ever done. I mean, it's a ton.
But a lot of them, yeah.
The wall from floor to ceiling, both sides, is covered in show posters and pictures and show announcements, and some of them hand drawn. Mm-hmm. At different points in our history, we've done things different ways, and you can tell some of the posters are super creative. Some of them they've taken like actual pictures and cut out the characters and put them on the poster, and just made it like that. Dot Moore she was super artistic and very talented, and drew so many show posters that we have here in the building, and some are you can tell the people created them with like they were very tech savvy. There's a wide variety because it's a community effort, and it's not one person always in art department. Like, we don't even have an art department.
Right.
The whole place is an art department, but it's not one person's visual talent going into creating every piece of media that comes out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be it's going to have a personality of its own because it is a group of volunteers who just come together and do it and make it work. So
yeah, of course. And you have to have those beautiful minds like that. And you mentioned Dot. Like, when I was a kid, I remember just walking down the hall, and she was in one of the reception rooms, what is now the reception rooms, painting a backdrop, hand painting a backdrop.
Yeah, probably like a huge 20 by or more.
Yeah,
20-foot long piece of canvas.
Just hand painting it. And she doesn't have a degree in arts or painting, and she's just, it needed to be done. She has a beautiful mind. She's going to do it. And I remember that as a kid and thinking, like, I couldn't fathom it when I was a kid. Like, what do you do? You're painting a backdrop? That's, that was just crazy to me. And John Duff as well. You got to mention him, like, with the construction and everything. Yeah. He wasn't into theater at all, but he was handy. He was so handy, so gifted with that.
He did a couple of shows.
Gave it. Yeah, he did. But he just gifted it. That's what you're talking about. It's just like multiple people, just gifting what they can to put it together.
Well, this has been an interesting
we've gone round
development.
And round. We've gone round and round.
I'm glad. I mean, I wanted to get in here and sit down and see what happened, and this is what happened. And I hope people enjoy it. But we need to do more soon. We need to get we need to sit down and do we want to do an improv comedy type show, maybe a little variety radio type deal. We need to read through a tuna Christmas show.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
I didn't realize you had done tuna twice before.
Yep.
Through here.
Yep.
And toured once or twice.
Once.
Okay.
Yeah, just once. I love that story so much, so I'm going to tell it before we go. Okay.
Yeah, do it. That's why we're here.
It's crazy about doing that show twice. I've done some shows twice. I did Guys and Dolls twice. I played a different role in each one, and they each have their own, special place. But Greater Tuna was the craziest example of that, because the first time I was a little younger, and I did it with a guy named AJ Pollard. Mm-hmm. Okay. He was graduating high school. I was like a sophomore, and we just stumbled across this play, and we're like, 2-man show. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
There's 2 of us.
Exactly. Let's do it. So we go, I'm going to make this as short as possible, but this is one of my favorite stories about the Whole Backstage in general. We go to a thrift store. I mean, we're just throwing this together in the black box. We're not getting a budget for this, so we're just like, let's do it, the best we can. We go to a thrift store, buy all of our costumes at like 100%. Crocs, dirty old Crocs.
How many costume changes did your character have in that show?
I played like 9 men and women, and AJ played 10 men and women, I think.
Okay.
I think he played 1.
So when you say 2 guys went in the store and bought all your costumes, you're not talking about 2 or 3 or 4. You're talking about like
the whole
20
show.
costumes.
Oh yeah. We're buying dirty Crocs. We're buying overalls, dirty overalls, that Albert Will's Finest had worn at one point and donated. But then we're going to the women's section and shopping for dresses. All right, so we caught some eyes. Like, we caught some people, first of all, they're like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is inappropriate. What are you doing? And, people would come over and say, this is the women's. And we're like, yes, we're doing a show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it. We had a little flyer. Maybe we're like, oh, come see the show. We're doing a show. We're dressing up as women. We buy all the costumes there. But then we do the show, and we sold out a lot of shows in here. I mean, standing room, like, it was way more successful than we thought it would be, because we were just kind of doing it for fun. Anyways, great reception. But I came in and played one of the 2 parts, and I was, eclectic in my people, whatever. But then AJ comes out as his characters, and he is literally AJ playing the characters. Like, you're seeing AJ, and it was a cool dynamic, because sure. I'm kind of trying to make you believe that I'm the character, but AJ comes out and he looks so ridiculous in a dress that you're laughing at AJ dressed in a dress.
Right.
Okay. Super funny, very successful, dynamic. I loved it. Then I did it again a few years later. I was a little older with a guy named Will Vickers. All right. We do the same thing. I was like, I've done this before. Let's go to the thrift store right now. We go to the thrift store, buy all new costumes.
Same store?
Same. Oh, yeah. 100% same thrift store. Shout out New Hope thrift store in Albertville at Crossroads Mall. I don't know if it's still there actually, but shout out them. So we go to that thrift store, buy whole new outfits because Will is like a lot more petite than AJ. So we had to buy all new clothes for him anyway. So we go there and the same thing happens. People are asking, why are y'all in the women's dressing room? We tell them whatever. We go to the dressing rooms. I will never forget this. We bought all these costumes in the same day. I mean, we're just shopping for whatever. Didn't have a budget again, whatever. And we're self-directing it this time. So it's really all on us. We go to the dressing rooms at the thrift store. You can just picture what that kind of is. We
go 2x2 box.
Correct. Yeah. Plywood. We go with all of our costumes, men and women. You know, I'm coming out in ridiculous outfits and people are like, ha ha. People are gathering around the dressing room. Like I'm talking 10, 12 people have gathered.
Just to watch y'all change clothes.
They've caught on to what we're doing. Whole different show. Whole different show. But they got a kick out of it. They were, you know, ha ha ha, whatever. And I will never forget this. Will, one of his characters has to wear this tiny pencil skirt. Well, I guess it didn't have to be tiny, but the one he picked out was very slim fitting. Pencil skirt, business top with a wig, old lady, but real put together. He goes in there and he's like, I'm going to try this one on. And everybody's like, oh, this is going to be good. He's going to be, he's going to dress up as a woman. I will never forget it. We're taking turns because we're milking this crowd to get them to come see the show.
You sure? Yeah.
So I'm standing outside the dressing room waiting on him. And he comes out in that pencil skirt. It was a pink, hot pink business dress suit. And literally comes out and the whole crowd literally goes, oh. Oh, my goodness. How does he fit that so well?
Oh no!
Oh my Lord!
Like it was a flattering fit.
Yeah,
that they didn't expect.
If you don't wear that in the show, you better buy that for you because that fits you to a T. How? Clapping like it went from a funny joke to. And so here's the point: the second time I did it was with Will, and I did my same kind of spiel. I'm trying to make you believe I'm the character, but it's also me. You know, you're seeing me, whatever. And Will was the characters when he dressed up in those. Women's in the dresses, he was that woman. So it was like believable. So it created a whole nother dynamic. It created a totally different dynamic.
Yeah.
But
so
both shows were successful.
You
in
were
their
the
own
same
way.
character in both shows,
yes.
right?
Yes. But it created a totally different dynamic in both shows. And I love that so much because it's the same show. But you were just talking about like keeping it fresh and those types of things. That was so cool to see it be a totally different show, but it's the exact same lines. I played the same part, but it was totally different.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite stories here. Yeah.
Was that during a social media era where people would have like posted pictures and like, or you could have piggybacked off of that and said, yeah, come to the show or whatever?
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a couple on my Instagram where we're dressed in women's clothing. So, but back when me and AJ did it, it wasn't really like that. So, but yeah, we'd need to read some of those because they're really funny shows. They're really well done.
I'd love to. Well, like you said, we heard the brass band of Huntsville a while ago. I saw you in the auditorium for the concert, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, don't leave after this. I want to show you something."
This is such a cool setup.
And so I brought him into my temporary studio that we're using right now, and I said, "Hey, let's start recording and see what happens." So that's what we got.
I love it. This is really good. I'm really excited about this, and I'm really excited about the direction the Whole Backstage is going with the shows that we've just done. They're so good, and Willy Wonka Jr. is coming up next. It's going to be great.
Yep.
To Kill a Mockingbird after that. It's just we got to keep it going. It's going to be really good.
What I'm really excited about is, so right now for our 22-23 season that we've already announced that starts in September with To Kill a Mockingbird, we're doing shows that we've done throughout our whole 50-year history. And then for the 23-24 season, we're going into our 49th season. The 23-24 season will be our 50th season as a theater, and we have planned to line up all new shows that we've never done in this building before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that.
Me too.
Try to sift through and see, what's available.
Mm-hmm.
What do we like? What direction we want to take some stuff. I've been trying to look up shows honestly because I'm not
it's gonna
very
be tough.
I'm not very well versed in like a huge theater catalog.
Yeah,
right.
Me either.
I've been trying to look up shows just to see what we could even do. So
Yep. It's gonna be crazy, like which shows make the cut because there's so many shows that we haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many shows that we have done, but there's also so many shows that we have not done. So I'm very interested to what's going to make the cut.
And they don't necessarily have to be newer shows.
Right.
It can just be a show we've never done.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it goes, like you said. I really appreciate you sitting down with me, buddy.
Of course, dude. This was so fun. Anytime. Please have me back.
We are this was not planned, so we still have to do our planned episode.
Oh, okay.
So you are coming back.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I don't know if it'll be here or 20 feet away. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
We cannot do what we do without the support of local businesses and generous individuals. Contact this show at wholebackstagelive@gmail.com for sponsorship opportunities. To help support the show as an individual, follow our socials link in the show description for access to PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. Just add the word podcast as a comment. Your generous support will help us achieve a professional, permanent studio space from which to generate consistently engaging content. Keep coming back and stay kind, everybody.
No, I just fade out.
Awesome, dude. That was so cool.
Or do some music. Like this.
That was so cool.
You can use this. This can be a little transition.
Welcome into the show.
Hey.
John Everett B. JB. Jeb the Jeb.
Swag.
This is Round 'em Up Randy and the Jeb with Traffic on the 10s.
What up?
I'm just kidding. That's a podcast. All right. Well, that's fun.
All right.